Share that screen. Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 5 of the fundamentals of real estate. 5 already. We've gone through a whole slew of different things. You got your marketing plan. You've got all your tools that you needed. We're talking about working with buyers. You've gone through searches. You have identified a house for a client or several houses. They've looked at them, and now we want to make an offer. Okay, so remember what the things that you're going to need for an offer. We looked at several different listings last time, and they actually didn't have them, but your standard just across the board is going to be obviously your offer. Okay, we're going to write one in a few minutes here. We're going to start writing an offer on the board here. You also need your proof of funds. So that would be bank statements showing that they have the money to pay for the down payment and closing costs. Okay, so those are important. And then a pre-qualification letter if they are doing a loan.
The closing costs, costs, we'll figure it out, us.
Yeah, you need to figure that out. So we'll talk more about that later. Okay, so those are the pre-qual letter as well from a loan officer, whether that be from the HPT team or from if your client has another loan officer that they're working on, you need to have that in a PDF. So you can present to the listing agent, present your client in the best light possible. Again, in the listing, you will see what is required for an offer. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that. We went over that, where to find that in the notes section. The other thing is they may ask for credit scores, and they sometimes ask for a DU. So DU is desktop underwriter. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac both have Fannie's called DU, so they use for underwriting, and Freddie Mac's called LP. That's something again they use those for underwriting. They sometimes want those, but make sure that you are looking at the instructions that the listing agent has put in to the note section. If they don't have anything, then you definitely need to send them offer, proof of funds, and a pre-qual letter. Okay, so we want to have that stuff after we show houses or before. Right, we want to have that stuff before because we don't want somebody to fall in love with the house. Got to have that house, and then we're not ready. We're not ready. We're not prepared. We have to go and scramble to get them pre-qual, get the bank statements, and by the time you collect them all and get all that done, the house is already gone. So you want to make sure that you have all that stuff ready to go. So if you go show houses and they say we love it, let's do it, you can head right back to your office and write an offer right away. I showed a house 2 Saturdays ago, 2 Saturdays now, 2 or 3 Saturdays, and they said we love this one, make an offer. So I came back to the office, wrote an offer. I mean, actually a contract. So again, had everything ready to go. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to need this, this, and this, and then we would have been too late. So got into contract. We're about to close. Going to close next week. So again, be prepared. Have all this stuff. Some clients, well, can I just give you that stuff later? No, we need that up front. And again, explain to them, listen, we need to be ready because things move quickly, especially in Orange County. I want to present you to the listing agent as in the highest manner possible, right? I don't want to send a half offer. If you present an offer to someone you don't have proof of funds, and that listing agent gets 7, 8 offers, guess what's going to happen to your offer? If you put to the side, right? And if they have time, they might call you back, say, where's your proof of funds? So as a listing agent, I don't want to look at an incomplete offer. I want to listen. Here's the thing is you're trying to build rapport with that listing agent. And so you should be calling them before you make an offer. Okay. First step 2 is, okay, so you've called them, some kind of contact. Even if it says go direct, as far as showing the house, I always want to call the listing agent and ask them what kind of activity they've had on the property, just to get a feel for what what's going on with the property. Okay. If you show it up to an open house and there's a line to get into the house, then you know that there's probably going to be, it's a hot property.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be multiple offers, and you would probably need to be aggressive with your offer. If there's nobody there, crickets, and you just haven't, there's not a lot of activity, then you would need to gauge that as well. So you want to talk to the listing agent and get a feel for what's going on in or with that property. Okay, so let's go to it. We're gonna go through how to write that offer. We're gonna do that. If you have your laptop, you feel free to do that. Okay, so this is also how you start your BRBC as well. Okay, so the first thing you should log into your zip forms, and this is what your dashboard will look like. Okay, so I think can you see that can you see the screen, Christine?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is what zip forms looks like. If you haven't got your membership to CRLMS, then you don't have access to this yet, so you need to get that, but this is what your screen looks like. Okay, so then you're going to go up here on the top, you're going to go new. Okay. And then, okay, so you click on it. So this would be the same thing that you do for writing the BRBC, would be the same actions. You're gonna go, okay, so we're working with a buyer, so we're gonna go new purchase or offer. If you have a listing, this is where you would click. If you're working with a lease or a lease listing, this is what you would click on. So,
I got different speed than yours.
okay, so we'll have to talk about that afterwards. Okay. All right. So the next thing is I am identifying what I'm gonna put my buyer, so I'm gonna say Joe Buyer. And okay, so here's really important. You can go in and put the property address, but here's what is what you want to do is you want to you want to connect with somebody help her out. MLS Connect. Okay, so click on MLS Connect. And what you want to do is you want to put your listing ID into, so I'm just going to do my listing. So it's got to be, so we'll go here. Yeah. So we're going to do, let me just click on include photo. I'm going to find. So let's put this up here. We'll move this there. Okay. Sorry, I'll have to move you out of the way. Okay. So I put in the listing ID. It's found on the top right when you pull up a listing, when you go in and look at it. And it's usually got two letters and then a bunch of numbers, some different, some don't have any, but this is for OC, anybody working under OCAR. The PW is gonna have, there's all kinds of them, right? Inland Empire. So they're gonna vary, but Orange County, because I'm under OCAR. Okay. So yes, I found it. Yes, this is the listing I want. That's the address. So say use listing. Okay. So then we don't need to put a property address because it shows up here. I'm identifying it with Joe Buyer, whatever you want to identify. You could put an address, put a name, whatever you want to do. Okay, so this is a residential contract. So I'm going to check residential. It's an active listing, so I want to check. Okay. And then you're never going to write an offer for an inactive or if it's pending and the only reason you would do that is if you wanted to be in a backup position. But I don't mess around with those too much because it's not getting to where you want to go. Okay, so I've clicked on that and this is what pops up, the summary. Okay, I don't usually work too much with this. You can look it over, see, but it's pulled because I used MLS Connect. It's pulled all the information from the listing into my contract. So it's got the parcel number, the year it was built, and any other information. Okay. So the next thing is, okay, we're gonna go back. Okay, so we're in this gray area. So we're looking at the summary. You can look at it, make sure it's correct. But then you go to parties. Okay, so the parties come up. It shows that I'm the listing agent. Okay. And then we're logged into Mindy's account, so she's the one writing the offer, right? So those two are in place. Now I want to add, okay, so I'm going to add parties. So on the buy side, I want to add my buyer. Okay. So this is important that, okay, so along with Mindy, she's on the buy side. So now I got to move this again. Move this over here. Okay. So we're going to go buyer one. Okay. I'm going to put their first name in here. We're going to call our buyer Joe. Oops. Got caps lock on. So, Joe. The last name, we're going to say buyer. Oops. All this stuff is going to show up in your purchase contract. So this is why throughout your purchase contract, you don't want to have to input all these. So this is why you do all the parties. You under your name, you should when it pops up. If you're writing the offer, your name would instead of Mindy, and it would have your license, your phone number, so all that stuff shows up. Okay. So email address, we'll just say Joe Buyer at gmail.com. Okay. And then your phone number is, we'll just say 714 999 9999. Okay, since we're just making this up. Okay, so one of the things is that you can save to the address book if you want. I'm not going to because this is obviously not real. Okay, this bottom part would be used if you had an entity that you were writing the offer for, let's say a LLC, and then you would put whoever's authorized to sign here instead. Okay. So we're just, after I've added this person, I'm going to say save. Okay. So it shows up here, Joe Box. So if I open, and this would be, if again, this box, I'm going to open this up. I think. Okay, there it goes. This would be your name, would be here. So everything's in there. Her name, her license, who she works for, address, all that stuff's in there. Perfect. Just put when you set up your zip forms, you'll put all that information so it'll show up, just so you know. Okay. All this stuff pulls through your contract. Okay. So if you had an additional buyer, you would put them here. Okay, the reason why you would want to separate them is because each person's going to have to sign, and they would have a different email address. Okay, and plus you want their name to be identified on the contract. So if you had another buyer, you would just click on buyer two, and then fill out the information just like you did buyer one.
Can you use one email address instead
You
of?
can. It's not recommended, but you can. Okay. So that's it. And then if that, since you are only on the buyer side, that's going to be it. Okay.
No, you cannot use the same address because the type to each, the
You can.
type to side each side, that have to be two different emails.
Okay. So now, so this is where you set it up, and this is the information that's going to pull through to your contract. So then now I'm gonna, since I've got all my parties available, if I want to check, I can do all, and it shows me the listing agent. Everything's good, right? Okay. Then I'm going to click on documents. So I'm going step by step. Okay. So now I have to move this again here. So I don't have any documents in here, but now I'm going to go to all forms over here on the right. And I'm going to do a California residential purchase agreement. Okay. So we're going to click there. And the purchase agreement has shown up down in here. Can everybody see that?
With the form, what's the
Okay.
the short?
Okay, so here it is right here. It's California residential purchase agreement. It showed up in there, so now I'm going to click on it and I'm going to open the form.
RPA form.
Yeah. Okay. So give it a minute to load. Okay. So if you have other documents in your thing, you would see this. I usually we'll close this and it'll open back up later, but I close it so I have more space to work with on my purchase contract. Let's move these guys again so we can make it go. I can't. Okay. All right. So, and we'll just leave that alone. Okay. So here it starts out with the same disclosure that's on your BRBC. So you've got your disclosure regarding, yeah, okay. So now I'm going to hit buyer. Always have to check buyer. Okay. So Joe Buyer will sign this. Okay. So you see how HPT didn't show up. Let's see. It's this one. Okay. So there, the license for the company's there. Her license is there. So her name's there. Okay. All there. So go through all this boilerplate stuff. And now here is the actual purchase contract. Always put the date. Okay, it would be conceivably the date that you're writing this offer. Actually, when I first started out, I forgot to put the date on one of them and had to redo it. So don't ever want to do that. I made the mistake for you, so don't do it again. All right, that's enough for everybody. All right, so this is an offer from your borrower's name shows up. Here is the property address. How come the property address is there? Because I used MLS Connect and it pulled everything through, pulled everything out the listing. Okay. So it has the parcel number, the address, all that's in there. Okay. So HPT, Steve is going to represent the seller. And Mindy here in this case is representing the buyer. So I'm going to click in there and all these things are clicked off. Okay. And all the licenses are there. Everybody's aware. Okay. So you want to click those. Okay. All right. So now we're going into offer time. Okay. So this is listed for just under 1.8. So there's a lot of I want to just go ahead and write an offer for 1.8. 1.8 million. Okay. Okay.
Regular, that must be a mansion.
It's 9.9 acres. So it is, and it's a big prop, 3,500 square foot. Okay. So now close of escrow. So this is a big thing for listing agents sometimes recently is closing time and this is really important. So what do I do usually if I've talked to the loan officer, I know them, and I usually put 25. Because most people put 30. So I'll put 20. I know I can close a loan in 25 days or less. So I just make it a little more attractive because agents are
Yeah.
are
They want to get paid.
well, yeah, they're just so okay. So if this purchase was an all cash purchase, you would check here. Okay. Okay. So expiration of offer, I just leave boilerplate, 3 calendar days after buyer signatures, or you can put in more time if you want. Okay. So the next thing is initial deposit. Okay. So you're typically going to put, and this is standard, and it's been what everybody's looking for nowadays is 3% of the purchase price.
They want to give you a number?
So that would be what, 54,000?
54?
Okay. I don't know why, but they won't let you just put 3%. But
Oh, I see.
you have to calculate what it is, and then it puts 3%.
They do it right.
No, you can't just put like 3% there. You have to put the number,
First,
and then it puts the amount. Okay. So then if there's going to be a loan amount, I'm gonna let's say somebody so let's say they're gonna put 30% down. So someone could give me 1.8 times 0.7.
0.7,
Yeah.
that would be 30,600.
No, 1.8 million. 1.8
Yeah, 1.8 million
times
one
point-
point.
no, not 1 point times 0.7.
Oh, okay. Sorry. 0.17.
No, just 0.7.
2.7. Got it? You ready?
What is it?
Here we go.
What is it? Give it to me.
1,600.
1,260,000. Okay. So yeah, so 1 million is set, and then it puts the percentage in at 70%. Okay. So by the way, this increased deposit, I've never ever messed with that and never even seen it happen, but I guess it's possible. Um, so you want to, if you're doing an FHA or VA loan, you want to check that. Okay. I just do this as far as loan amount. I don't mess with the rate or anything like that. There's additional financing. If in some cases they're rare, but if the seller wanted to do financing or something, you would put it there. Or if there's a first or a second, they don't do too many of those anymore. Okay. So then you check if it's going to be if it's primary or if it's going to be secondary investment. We'll just leave it as primary. Okay, so check the balance of the down payment would be 486,000, and you want to check your math, which would be okay. It equals my asking or my offer, right? If this number here is different than what you're offering,
It's okay, well,
you made a mistake.
yeah.
So go back and check your numbers. Okay,
What about the 54?
it's calculating it. Yeah. Yeah, so it's saying after you put that 54, you still have 486, putting 30% down. Okay. Anybody have any questions regarding that? Pretty straightforward, right? Okay. So super important that you get those numbers right. Again, 3%, that's what pretty much everybody's going to ask for.
Right.
So you might as well just put it in 3%. You could try to do less or a different amount, but I've seen it where people counter, the agent will counter back and say they want it to be 3. So used to be that you could throw in just random numbers or whatever, like 25,000 or whatever. You can ask for it, but they'll usually counter back to 3. Consistently, I've seen that. Okay. So we'll go on to the second page, and this is where you get paid. Okay. So if there's any credits that they're offering, you would put the number here, closing cost. You typically don't put that on, I don't put it on the purchase contract. I wait until we do inspection reports and all that and ask for credit for stuff. Okay, so now this is the important thing, or any additional terms, okay, not including your compensation. This is important right here, section G3. This is how you are going to get paid, okay? So you've got a BRBC that you had filled out, and you told your client, hey, we're filling out this contract to do perform real estate activities for you. And whatever it is you put on your BRBC is where you want to check off seller's payment to compensate buyer's broker. You cannot fill this out or check this off if you do not have a BRBC. Okay, so now I'm checking this box. And then it says seller agrees to pay buyer's broker out of transaction proceeds.
10%.
Yeah, temporarily. Yeah. Imagine on this size loan. And so I always put, so as a general, we've talked about the BRBC. If you weren't in that class, go back and get the video, ask Bobby for the video and go and review that. And my philosophy and yours could be different regarding the amount you put on the BRC. I put 3 and then if they counter back to 2, I'm happy still, but if they gave me 3, perfect, right? So 3%. Okay, or if you have, in some cases, if you do mobile homes or something, you want to do a flat fee,
5,000.
you would put whatever, 5,000, 4,000, whatever it is, okay? And so this is very important. You cannot fill this out if you don't have a BRBC. As a listing agent, when somebody presents an offer to me and I see that they put 3% and they don't include the BRBC, I ask them before I accept the offer. I said, I want to see your BRBC. Yeah, I do ask for it as a listing agent. Some don't. Some agents don't, but when I'm a listing agent, I want to know that they have a contract. You know why? Because if they send me a BRBC and it's only got 1%, guess what I'm paying them? Well, not me, but I'm going to tell the seller, hey, and let me rephrase that. Let me make sure that's clear. Strike that. That's what I pay them. But as far as I'm recommending to the seller only to pay one if they only have an agreement for one. If they ask for three and they have and they filled it out properly, then we're talking from there, right? So okay. So that's G3, very important. BRBC, very important. Again, I'm putting 3. They can counter back if they want to. Okay, so moving on. I leave most of the stuff just blank. All this is standard because I'm not really worried about it too much. Okay. Here's in this verification of loan application, you can do it if you want. I don't mess around with it too much. People don't really. There might be different parts of the country or that really look at this stuff, and so you're aware of it. But I don't ever. Okay. I always leave these things as standard. And this is the big thing nowadays, and it's one of my pet peeves is why listing agents even mess around with this stuff. So for loan contingency, this is super important. Your contingency is what protects your buyer's earnest money deposit.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's go back up and see how much money is on
54,000.
54,000. I want you to look at that number. So a person's putting $54,000 into escrow, and these contingencies are allowing them to back out and retain their 54, get their 54,000 back because they deposit it into an escrow account and it's sitting there. And if you sign off, these contingencies, so if they don't qualify for the loan or something, sometimes with the loan, then they can cancel the contract. The appraisal, if the appraisal doesn't come in, and things, let's say we offer 1.8, but the appraisal comes in at 1.3, so they have the opportunity to back out because the appraisal wasn't, or the property investigation. The house looks really nice, but once the inspector goes in there, it's a mess, right? There's all kinds, and then the seller doesn't want to, they have a right to back out. I have never ever lost deposit and don't ever plan on it. So these are important. So listing agents somehow think that they should shorten these. And I've asked several agents, and I still don't understand why. They always say, "Well, because we want to make sure." Well, they're coming up with all kinds of excuses. Well, they're making an offer on $1 million. What's that got to do with it? My close is 25 days or less. All these are under that number. That doesn't help me perform at all. Okay. So the shortening these things that doesn't help me perform at all. Right. So be very careful with this because if you leave them standard, they'll want to counter over. It's very important that you are very cognizant of this stuff because you have 54, in this case, you have 54,000 on the line. I don't want to tell my buyer, hey, you just lost 54,000. That's not chump change, right? I don't ever want to tell somebody, hey, you just lost your deposit okay, so I'm protecting them. So one of the things is a lot of agents will want to shorten, especially the investigation, the property inspection. They want to reduce it. They'll say 5 days. I had this one case. It was right before a 3-day holiday weekend. You know, the holiday was on a Monday, and they came back and countered me and said they wanted 5 days for the inspection. So they're cutting it down from 17 to 5. Right before a week. Right before, and you have to keep in mind, those are calendar days.
Yeah.
They're calendar days. When you are in this contract, these are calendar days. Okay, so what did I said, no, that's not reasonable. Because first of all, if I signed on a Friday, I'm losing Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday. You're leaving me essentially 2 business days to get someone out to the property, inspect it, get me a report, and then go through it. I said, no. I said, if you want to do this, you got to be reasonable. I told the agents, argue with me. I said, no. You want to do this, we got to be reasonable because you're hitting me right before a 3-day weekend. I want 5 business days. So I put right in the counter, I want 5 business days. Okay. So Saturday, Sunday,
And
Monday didn't count because those. So again, that's not reasonable.
Yeah.
Not reasonable. I have seen where I had this client I was trying to do this loan for, and we had somebody else that was trying to do the real estate. He was talking to me and he said, okay. And then I was talking to him, and then over the weekend he went to go visit a house on his own. I had nothing to do with it. He came back on Monday and said, hey, I'm in contract. Can you do the loan for me? I should, okay. He goes, I went directly to the listing agent. And they basically, and he was like really rate sensitive. He was every fee. He was like, can you lower that? I mean, just everything, right? Comes back and he went to the listing agent. The person had another agent from their office write an offer. And guess what? They put him in no contingency for the investigation, waive appraisal contingency, and loan in 7 days.
Jeez.
I mean, just ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Because they wanted to force him to go to their lender,
Yeah.
which the guy I was talking to was like ultra sensitive about fees and about all this stuff, and he was going to be forced. Otherwise, he was going to lose his deposit was bigger than this. I think it was a bigger property.
Wow.
I said, and he came back and he goes, "What do you think about this?" And I go, "Cancel it right away."
Can you report it up?
What?
Can you report it?
I could, but why do I want to go? I don't have time to go around reporting every stupid thing that agents do. And if I do that, then guess what? It's going to come back at me. I don't want to have to deal with the drama. I don't like it, and I'm going to fight him on it. But if it's my transaction, I'm going to fight on it. I'm going to fight him, but I'm not going to report him. So I told the guy to cancel, and he ended up canceling because he was getting just absolutely just destroyed on that.
Yeah, but that listing agent is misleading with the buyer because you represent them both and with all the.
Right.
specific-
Right, but it was one of those cases. If he was being put in a really bad position, the fiduciary responsibility, the agent wasn't considering him. It was just their seller. So they were thinking, hey, we're going to force him into our loan officer where they probably get a referral fee, or I'm going to get this deposit. I'm going to take this deposit. I don't know. I don't want to take anybody's deposit either. To be honest with you, I really don't want to take people's deposit. Even if I'm a listing agent, that's not what we want to do. We want you know what, we want people of integrity, and we want to do things right.
Exactly.
Even if I mean, I'd even consider if they just backed out. I don't want to mess around with that, right? Don't be unreasonable. Don't
Give him a warning, hey.
you try to push people, and you try to be reasonable. You try to do things professionally, ethically, right? Taking people's deposits for what? Yeah, So, again, agents are always pushing on this to lower these things. When I ask them why, none of them come up with a valid reason. I've heard like I said, I've heard all kinds of things. I said, how does that help me close this transaction? It doesn't. It actually puts pressure on everybody to lower those. And people, what happens when people are under pressure and stress? They make mistakes, right? Bad things happen. So again, when you're talking to those agents, be really cognizant of it, because if I keep them all standard when I write an offer, and as a listing agent, I'm okay with the standard, right? As long as you're going to close in 25 days or less, if it takes you 17 days to, fine.
And even you aggressive as a financial in 25 days.
Right.
Because with regular is.
Right. But my thing is, it doesn't help the process for you to shorten those. To make an appraisal 4 days doesn't help, because again, you're putting, actually, as a list, if you're the listing agent's actually putting the transaction in jeopardy if you shorten those. And here's why: because once I put an offer in, they accept it, and it's signed, the clock starts. So now the deposit, the earnest money deposit, has to be brought to escrow, sent to escrow. Then after that, escrow has to send out paperwork to the lender, and you could lose 2, 3, 4 days. If your appraisal is 5 days, right? so once I get the stuff as a loan officer, as I get the stuff from the escrow, I submit it to a lender, and then usually within a day I get an approval. Then I would want to order the appraisal. But if they're lowering it, you have to be very cognizant. Hey, listen, you talk to the agent, listen, that's not reasonable. If you want that short of a time, they need to be business days.
Yeah.
And you need to have that conversation. You need to have that conversation with listing agents and push back on them a little bit, especially if they're trying to shorten them really low. Most of them, some of them will go to 14 days, and that's fine. But again, very, very popular right now to shorten these things to nothing. So if you ever wanted to write if you're writing an offer and you wanted no contingencies, you would check them over here. I would never do that unless you have a cash offer. That's when you put no loan contingency. Appraisal, I'd always want one, but if they don't want an appraisal as a cash offer, then you can put none. Um, Again, very important. Very important. I spent a lot of time on this because it is very, very important to take a look at that. All right. Some of these other ones are just not common, but the big three are loan, appraisal, and property inspection. These top three. And people will try to shorten this one all the time. Okay. Here's one of the things I saw another person was trying to write an offer for somebody and went directly to the agent and they kept checking this. They said, no, you have the contingencies in place, but they kept checking this box. That means all contingencies are waived. So I was like telling the person, no, tell them to go uncheck that before you sign it, because they're just trying to play games with you. And they were. They're trying to play games. They canceled the offer. Okay. So be very, very cognizant of that. Very important. All right. So time of possession is typically after they record, they can get the keys. If there's any specific time, you would put it in there. I usually just leave it as the standard close of escrow. If there's anything specific, you should know your client. If it's occupied by tenants, you have to be aware of that as well. If it's an investment property, then are they going to stay and do they want to continue? So those are conversations you need to have up front. So all this stuff I usually don't touch, just leave them standard. So we'll move on. Okay. So when you've looked at the property and you're looking at the properties, there's some things you want to note as you're looking around. Don't just hey, there's a bedroom. Look and see if okay. So you're going to check off. Obviously, you want the stove to stay. If there's a refrigerator and your client wants it, I would ask the agent, are they including that? Or if they don't know, just check it off. Because they could say, hey, they can come back and counter say refrigerator's not. So if your client really wants it, it's a sub-zero. If it's a sub-zero and it's built in, then I would check it off. If it's a freestanding refrigerator and they really want it, then I would check that off. If there's a wine refrigerator, if there's a washer and dryer on the property, and the client wants it, just check it off. The worst they can do is counter back and say, no, that's not part of it. Any type of equipment, ring, video, of course, bathrooms are going to be there. Oh, electric, this is big now. The charging stations, are they going to leave it? If there's a Tesla thing, and yeah.
This one said about refrigerators on the waste is attached.
Yeah. Anything that's attached to the house, you want to make sure if I saw sub-zero, I'm checking the refrigerator. I don't want them pulling that out, right? So yeah, anything like dishwasher probably is attached. Microwave might be attached. So if it is, check it off. They can't take it out. Okay. So washer and dryer is a little bit different. But anyways, so electric car charging, we sold a house and they included it, and so they checked it off when they made an offer to us. Oh, okay, trees and shrubs, very important. I had had these a lot of times potted plants are not included, so it's important. It's important. So, but I did have a person that had they had two. I forgot what kind of. It was some kind of berry in the ground, and the seller dug one up after we got into contract and removed it and brought it somewhere else. And so the buyer was very, very upset. right? And it was not a small tree. So,
Oh, wow.
so again, as a listing agent, you tell your client, as a listing agent, you tell your client, no, those are, you can't remove those after we get into contract. Or if they're potted plants out in the backyard and they want them, you would check this off and be specific too. Okay, be specific as much as possible. Okay. So anything that's excluded, you can put them here. Don't usually mess around with that too much. All right. So I have got moving on here. So natural hazard disclosure needs to be done every time. A seller always pays for that. I would click here and find the one you want. We can go my NHD is somebody that we work with, or you can just, or if you don't want to put one, I always put a qualified service provider. That choose one.
Is that like
Huh?
warranty, home warranty? Yeah.
No, this is a hazard.
Oh,
Hazard.
License, right?
This is a hazard. Just make sure there's no hazardous materials in the property.
yeah.
It's different.
You can put a licensed company.
Have it, yeah, licensed, qualified, professional company. Just choose my NHD. Okay, so wildfire disclosure. If you're in Irvine in those areas, if you're here in Garden Grove, it's probably not in the fire zone, so I would just take that out. Not applicable, but it would be the seller. Again, we just choose, okay. This is where I put termite report. And section 1 clearance. Okay. So this is for those of you don't know, when you do a termite report, the person who does the inspection writes all his findings in section 1 of the report. That's why they call it section 1 clearance. And those are what needs to be fixed. And seller is always going to pay for, well, not always, but going to pay for that. Okay. I would say 90% of the time. It's understood that the seller is going to do a report and pay for the wood damage, the infestation issues. So it's either they're going to give a credit or they're going to have it repaired.
Or
So, but it has to be everything that's in section 1, put the clearance. And so it can't be most of the stuff. It can't be, there's a couple things that has to be complete clearance out of that. Okay.
and some of the on the listening remarks say as is, no repair.
Mm-hmm.
And you still request.
Yes, I still do. Yep. And let them counter if they say, hey, we're not going to do termite. But okay. So smoke alarms and water heater bracing.
That's standard.
Okay. No matter what, if it says as is, if they can't sell the house in California, if they don't have smoke alarms, carbon monoxide and a double strap on a water heater. I don't care what the condition of the property is, they cannot sell the house. So, and everybody knows this. But you want to check seller. Okay, smoke alarms, carbon monoxide. Okay, so there should be a smoke alarm in every bedroom. So when you're looking at the house, touring the house, make a mental note if they have, and maybe make some notes. Do they have a smoke detector in each bedroom? And here's why. And do they have the carbon monoxide in the hallway and on every level? And the reason why is because if you do make an offer or do get into contract, you want to tell that listing agent before you order the appraisal, go and make sure that your carbon monoxide and your smoke alarms are in place. Here's the reason why, because if the appraiser goes out there and sees that they're not there, they're going to condition for it, and then they have to go back out and delay your transaction, and it's going to cost your borrower money to go back out and reinspect it.
Right, because
So-
given that the final 2 ways, the inspection
Yeah.
report and
Yeah. Yep. So make sure that you check that and remind your listing agent to get all this stuff done. Okay. Government point of sale. Okay. So these stuff it's not too often you have these stuff, but if you be aware if it's a special type of property. Escrow fee. Okay, so it's always each to pay their own fees. Okay, each one to pay their own fees. Standard. Okay. Owner's title policy. The seller, right? Because it's owners. They have to pay for it. Okay. Buyer's lender, the buyer pays it. Okay, county transfer tax. Common practice here in California that the seller pays that. Okay. There's very rarely any city transfer taxes. You need to be aware of that if that's the city that you're doing a lot of business in. You need to be aware of it, but hardly ever in Orange County. Sometimes in LA there is, but you have to
But the
know.
title.
Okay.
On and up anyway, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually-
They're no, they typically if it sometimes they'll know. Even escrow sometimes don't know, but if it's on the estimated statement,
Yeah.
then okay, HOA fee for preparing disclosure, seller, and then certification, the buyer pays it.
Buyer.
Okay. Yeah, on this, yeah, as a lender, they're gonna want the HOA cert.
And this is standard.
Yeah, HOA cert is typically pretty expensive because all the HOAs, they usually farm out to a third party. It usually costs like $600 to get everything you need for the lender. It's horrible. And even if they don't have a third party that fills out their forms for them, if you send them in a form to fill, they're going to want $300 just to check a few boxes and sign their name. So, HOA transfer fees. I always put that the sell if it's in an HOA, you need to know that before. So it could be a condo or a PUD, which stands for Planned Unit Development. It still may be a single family, but it's got common area in the neighborhood. There's either a pool, a clubhouse,
Playground.
there's maintenance, and so there may be an HOA. So if you do, and there's any I always check it just in, there's just in case. There's not always HOA transfer fees, but if it is, seller pay for it, right? Private transfer fees, that's very, very rare. If they have some kind of private mortgage and they're going to transfer it or something, then that's something, yeah, I don't run into that. Okay. Miscellaneous stuff. Okay, so home warranty, always ask for the seller. Okay, so we know for our home guard, we is one of the ones we use for our warranty. Their best package is about $845. So guess what I'm asking for?
So that house is huge.
I'm asking for 900.
I put random.
So I actually on the last one I just got in the contract, I asked for 900. They countered back to 650. It's okay. Yeah.
Oh, they increased, huh? Back in my day, like 400.
Yeah, no, I always the biggest package, the greatest package is 845 or something like that.
And the
So-
class of the grade, right?
Yeah. So and then I just for I think home guards in there. Yeah, home guards there.
Yeah.
So whatever one, if I whatever one you want to use, home guard's good. BB is our rep, and she's really good. So, all right. Or buyer wants to waive it. Okay. Any other terms that you put in there? So if you know it's a fixer upper, I had one that was a complete fixer upper, and they said we're not fixing. We're not doing term bank. Not I was the listing agent.
Fix up and
And I said, the price, it was priced accordingly. So we're not fixing anything. No, and there's no warranty. Because everything needs to be redone anyway.
But sometimes they cover with the, when you write it up with the pool and all the service warranty for at least for 1 year.
Yeah, this is again, we're writing a purchase contract. I'm not talking about being a listing agent. So who are you representing?
buy.
Your buyer. So you're trying to get everything you can for them. So that's I asked for the highest amount because what's the worst they're going to do?
Yeah.
Just counter back, right? So any other terms that if there's something, hey, the 1973 Porsche Carrera is going to be included in the sale, whatever it is, right? So not very likely, right? But if there's anything. Okay.
And for that specific property, don't cut any kind of.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So moving right along, these are all kinds of different forms. I don't mess with these a whole lot. Okay. They're pretty rare. If there is a septic tank. Yeah, I had one in Temecula. It was a 1 acre property, horse property. They had a septic tank, so I had to put that addendum. Okay. And
Clean out anything before.
no.
No.
Okay. Yeah, if the inspector said it was not good. Okay. So if it's a short sale, court confirmation addendum of any of those things, you check those. The fair housing, those are standard because they already come pre-checked. Okay, so I always, and these two are there too, they're disclosures. I always check statewide buyer and seller advisory. The reason why I do it is because I'm on the loan side, and that's always the lender always wants to see it, so I just check it off so it's there. It adds it to your disclosures. So I'm not having to go back later on because the lender needs it. I'll always just do it right up front. There's e-signing anyway, so you might as well get it done with. So that's my recommendation to you, is because the lender will always ask for that.
The state wasn't buying us.
I remember when I first started out in the business, they kept getting condition for that. And I'm like, let's avoid that condition altogether and just get it. So it comes all together, so they never ask for it. So, and that's it. And if it's trust or wildfire, you would check that. If it's in a wildfire, you have to check this. So you need to check that out and make sure that that's signed. If it's a trust or REO, everybody knows real estate owned, that means it's a foreclosed type of home. And anything else that you know about that might need to be there, you put it here. Probate there, and that's kind of it there. Okay. And that is pretty much it, but we'll look at a couple other things. There's a bunch of boilerplate stuff that you should be familiar with. So yeah, I don't know if you could memorize all this, but I would be familiar with it. I would read it at least once so you know what it is. Again, this is developed by lawyers from Carr over years and years of lawsuits, and put every potential protection that could be in there. Every ruling that's gone against the real estate agent has some kind of disclosure in there. So I would be familiar with it.
Take a copy, you can go back for a second one.
When you have trouble sleeping, grab this and read it. Okay. Not always the case. Okay, so now. Okay, so liquidated, and we don't have to mess with this. Let me go to, this used to be page 10, and now it's, I think, page 17 is where we're going. Expiration of offer. I usually, I don't even want to, why do I want my offer to expire? So if they take 3 days or 4 days to get back to me, I don't have to rewrite it or do some kind of addendum. So, this is where they'll sign it if they accept it. But going down to seller signatures, be aware of that. What page are we on here? Let's see. So this is page 17. Okay, buyer's going to sign there when they do it. Okay, so go down here, and everybody's signature should be there. And this is where the real estate section, because you've already filled all this out, but this will be signed here as well. So when you send these out for signature, you have to sign the offer as well as the agent. So, okay. So all the information from stuff that I pulled through using MLS Connect in the beginning, I showed you all that. Okay, you're getting the MLS listing number, plug it in, it pulls a lot of this information. In those first tabs where we chose buyer 1, maybe potentially buyer 2, plus your thing popped up. So all that information is where it's pulling it all from. So it's important that you fill all that out in your system when you get it. So you don't have to keep filling it out.
Defaults,
It puts it right in there for you. Okay. So that's it. And then once you get into escrow will need to fill this out. They usually pay.
They do or we do?
Escrow. It says escrow holder acknowledgement. So they understood that they're taking on the contract to be in the escrow holder. So that's pretty much it. A lot of this stuff is boilerplate, and a lot of these are disclosures. So you recommend that your buyer read all this stuff.
Yeah.
If they sign it and initial it and sign it, then they're legally saying that they've read it. So if they come back to you and say you signed it, I sent it to you for you to read. I mean, again, you want to be reasonable with people, but it's, again, you can't cover every little aspect. You'd be, 3 weeks to get a purchase contract done, right? Going through all this stuff.
Up to be sold.
Yeah, so fair housing is also in there. So these are all the disclosures.
It's automatic, right?
These all come in,
You-
and when I,
Purchase contract,
yep, well, they all come in, but the statewide buyer, I added that. So when I checked the box, it added it on the end here. Again, be familiar with it. I always check this one because the lender is eventually going to ask for it. So save yourself time. Huh? It's like 15, I think now. Something like that. Yeah, it's pretty long. But again, they're e-signing it. And you don't want to have to slow yourself down or your transaction down by having to go back in and so, well, do we have a question online? No?
people are sleeping.
Okay. So that is it. What questions do you have? Okay, does anybody have any questions about writing the contract? So here's what I recommend is do a search for we talked about doing searches. Do a search for a house that you want to buy yourself, or maybe a dream home. Identify that, get the listing ID, and go and write yourself a contract representing yourself. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to send it anywhere. So, or you can put Joe Buyer, or you can put your dog's name or whatever you want to put in there as the buyer. Okay. So practice writing contracts. So you always have one to reference later on.
Yeah.
Okay. So you always have one to reference later on. And of course, this video will be available to go through. So since we have 3 minutes, let's talk about after we've filled all this out. And you should be able to get pretty good at these if you write a bunch of them to go through them fairly quickly.
Steve, I think you can move.
Yeah, it's okay. So what we're gonna do is we want to send this out for signing. So I'm gonna go prepare signing. And if you have a DocuSign, it's a paid subscription, but AuthentiSign is free. So I would just use AuthentiSign. It's up to you. Okay, so the California Purchase Addendum is, and you should be familiar with this because you've already done the BRBC, but okay, main folder. And I'm just going to put in the main folder in my transaction. So create, house satisfy, meh. Yeah, just send the feedback. Why not? Okay, so prepare signing. Just thinking about it. There. Oh. Why is that giving me that error? Oh, I think AuthentiSign's down today.
Oh, yeah, you remember my.
Yeah, AuthentiSign is having issues. That's why. So let's say so that's where you go. You go through the steps, and then you can. And I'll try to get to that in another class because I can't show it to you right now because it's down.
Yeah.
Okay. So so there's an error with AuthentiSign right now. So unfortunately, I won't be able to show you, but that's where you go. You go through the steps that says you can add participants from transaction, choose the ones you want, and it'll put all the fields in for you. You just have to say yes and set the order if you want to. It's pretty straightforward. Just follow the steps and read, and then send, and you will have to sign, and your client will have to sign to send an offer.
Do you have to be a member or pay
Yes.
for the signing?
Yeah, you have to, in order to access zip forms,
Yeah.
you have to have your membership to CRLMS, because that's how you get access to the forms. It comes with your membership.
I'm talking about signing the paper for the document.
For AuthentiSign?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's free to all members.
2 members.
So if you wanted to send stuff via the other one, DocuSign, it's called DocuSign. Yeah. It's called DocuSign.
and I pay.
Then you have to pay. Okay. So we actually got to go back into.
DocuSign, yeah, don't mess with it. I have bad experience.
All right. So, do I have any questions from anybody online? I guess it would just Christine. Christine, do you have any questions?
Oh, no,
Okay,
not yet.
perfect. What questions do I have here before we wrap up?
No, during the COVID, we use a lot of online. So I think you can move. Say this way.
That's fine. Next time. But what we'll do? Yeah, you can. Lynn. Oh, Lynn is there. Hi, Lynn. Let's see. I can't. You're muted.
Hi,
Hey, Lynn. How are you?
hi.
Good.
I'm good. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Thank you for the training.
Of course.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
In case you're ready to write
Yeah.
contracts.
I've been. That's
Okay.
my job actually, but I
Nice.
learned something. I still learned something
Okay, good.
new today. So thank you.
Good. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, perfect. Well, that concludes week 5. We'll start next week with working with sellers. We may go over a few things at the beginning of class regarding to wrap up because we didn't get to show you Authentisign. Did you have a question before we go?
Yeah, if on the listings, the buyer agent supposed to be verify the permit stuff, so do we have to do that?
To verify the permits?
Yeah.
If there's some questions about the square footage and anything that's been added, yes, you want to make sure you want to assist your buyer in doing that.
So you have to go to city hall.
Not go, just call. I would call, start out by calling, depends on what it is, but yeah, I would call. Or have your buyer, make sure your buyer go to the city or call. Yeah. So,
Are
okay.
that linked together with inspection, or the inspection will find out if permit or not? I don't know. You have to do it.
No, they won't be able to tell if something's permitted or not. If an appraiser goes out and they look at public records and see a square footage difference, they may ask the owner for permits for something that's different. But other than that, you have to find out. So you want to look at public records.